Hi, I'm Toby from Venture Out Nursery. We're here at my garden on Whidbey Island to talk about pruning a hybrid tea rose. One thing I want to do first is tell you I did a little experiment with companion planting around my roses last year, and I planted some chard, and while the chard is very happy, it did bring a little fungus to my rose with the air circulation and the lack thereof. So maybe don't repeat that in your garden, but I just figured it was worth mentioning. Anyway, so on to the hybrid tea. So I left mine last summer to make hips and to wind down, and they have gotten all funky and gross over the winter. So one of the things that we'll do today when we prune the rose, we want to get rid of deadwood, we want to open the center, we want to remove last year's hips and buds, and we want to do a little bit of height control. This is a Coco Loco rose. It's one of my favorites. Great disease resistance, gorgeous sort of lavender to blush flowers. It's a beauty. So I'm going to start with looking for deadwood, which there isn't very much of on my plant, but what there is leaving. Next, I would look to get rid of the congestion inside of the shrub. So we have several canes, including the most offensive of which is this one, who is really just growing right towards the middle of the bush. So I'm going to cut that out. Because it's so short, I don't have a lot of options for cutting it. One thing I could do is cut it to the outward facing bud that's on this stub right here. But because of the configuration of this cane and this sort of stub underneath it, I'm just going to cut it clean out. I don't love it, and I'll come back and get that with my loppers later. Then I'm going to look at these two canes that grow towards the inside, and I'm going to prune them out. I always am looking to prune to an outward facing bud. Wherever you make your cut is where growth will come from. So if I cut to a bud that's here, the growth will come out to here. But on this case, because it's so growing into the middle, I'm just going to cut that one right off. And last, I would look to cut to an outward facing bud to get rid of these rose hips. Now, one thing we can do is, I'm going to use this cane. Can we get real zoomed in right here? I want to talk about this bud. So we've got on a rose where the node is, the bud comes out here. And a cut like this is much too high. The rose cane is hollow. This will dry up, become open, water will go down the stem and cause this cane to rot. So that would be no good. The ideal height is when the bottom of your pruner angle is just above the little line that's by the node under the bud. Does that make sense, I hope? I would cut there. If I were to make, so that's the good cut. If I were to do that too steep and cut, that would be a bad cut. Not simply because it's ragged, somebody's been naughty about pruning roots with her pruners, but also because I have cut beyond this line at the node. And that is where the plant has the ability to seal the cut and prevent further disease and rot from happening. So you always want to make a nice cut where the bud is on the high side and the bottom of the cut is just above that line. That is a good cut. Thanks for watching. You can always visit the nursery if you have any questions. We're happy to help. Happy rose pruning.